Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Evolving Consciousness. I'm your host Purushottam, and in today's video, we are going to talk about a legend, a living legend, who seems human but a person who epitomizes and exemplifies divine virtues and qualities which you and me can learn from. This person needs no introduction. The revered industrialist and philanthropist, a living legend, Mr. Ratan Tata himself. Now, this video is not going to be sort of a content where I'm going to boast about Mr. Tata's achievements in the business world, but the entire focus of my video would be to give the qualities which you and me can learn from Mr. Ratan Tata. What are the virtues which we can learn from his own life? His life has been one upside down trajectory, right? There haven't been times where he has only made profits. He has probably experienced the most colossal catastrophes in his business, but still, there are so many lessons which you and me can learn from this legend. Now, to begin with, right, there is a very famous, probably a known story, probably you have heard of it, but I think it's very important to reiterate this story. Now, this is a story which teaches us about Tata's, Mr. Ratan Tata's approach towards humiliation, towards insult. Now, this happened when Tata Indica was launched in India and it faced excruciating losses. It was a colossal failure. Now, few of the members in the Tata group advised Mr. Ratan Tata to sort of sell the company to Ford Motors in America. So Mr. Ratan Tata was sort of hesitant in accepting their advice, but he unwillingly decided to go to United States to talk to Mr. Bill Ford, who was the then owner of the company. Now, Mr. Bill Ford insulted Mr. Ratan Tata. He told that why the hell are you making cars if you don't know how to make them? And I would be doing a huge favor on you if I purchased your car company. Now, Ratan Tata could have grown bitter. He could have felt infuriated. He could have revolted. But the gentleman the man is, he didn't do either of them. Instead, he humbly rejected that particular offer. He came back. And with utmost resilience, commitment, and perseverance, he worked on redefining Tata Motors. And 9 years down the line, tables turned. And Ford was facing a lot of losses. So now, Mr. Bill Ford sort of flies down to Mr. Ratan Tata and asks him to sort of buy his Jaguar, the iconic Jaguar and Land Rover. And he says, Mr. Bill Ford says, that you would be doing a great favor on me if you purchase this. But this is how tables turn. This is how leaders create opportunities when they face humiliation. Ratan Tata very inspirationally says, use the stones which people throw at you and build monuments. Because let's remember, there's no one on this planet who has never faced humiliation, no matter in which walk of life you have been through, right? You might be the most successful person in your domain, but there would have been some instance in your life where you would have to face public criticism or humiliation or some kind of an insult. But look at how Mr. Tata responded. He turned the tables through his consistency, perseverance, and he made Tata Motors a success, such that Mr. Bill Ford had to use the same things, that you're doing a great favor on me by buying these loss-making brands. This is how leaders are. This is how titans are. Next time, when you face insults or criticism, when you are being bombarded with stones of insult, use those stones and to create the monuments of your mastery. Use that as ignition points, as things which will propel you, which will catalyze your commitment towards success. Mr. Tata is an exemplary example of how a person needs to deal with humiliation. Now, Mr. Ratan Tata is not the only example. My personal favorite, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, when he entered Bollywood, he was offered movies which were rejected by other film stars. the movies which portrayed him as a villain. Let me give you the example of Bazigar and Der. No, this was rejected by the so-called heroes of that generation, but he humbly took it. He did not, have this kind of an image mindset that if I play a antagonist in a particular movie, probably my image will be ruined. No, he took it, and his performance brought him a lot of awards, and it was applauded. This is how legends and people who are titans of their industry operate. In the most gruesome failure, they look at opportunities, and they always subscribe or they resonate with the thought process that failure is the greatest motivator. Success is a very bad teacher. Let's remember that. So, this is one of the groundbreaking real life incidents of Mr. Ratan Tata. The man has so much of resilience. The man is so sort of calibrated in his approach towards negativity and criticism. There are more examples which we will sort of look at in his life, right? So this was the number one lesson, that failure is the greatest motivator, and also to always remember to use humiliation, insult, criticism as a fuel to propel your own journey towards success and towards mastery. Because the world is going to pull you down, the world is going to insult you, the world is going to call you genius as shit. But it's your responsibility to work on yourself, to hone your skills to such a level that sooner or later the world will respect you, the world will honor your work. Now let's go to point number 2. Now this is something which is sort of defining hallmark quality of Mr. Ratan Tata. Now let's understand the family background and the financial background from which Mr. Tata is coming. Now Mr. Ratan Tata was not born with a silver spoon. In fact, he was born with a platinum spoon. He had all the opulences and all the luxuries at his disposal. He was probably born in one of the richest families in post-independent India. It won't be an overstatement to say that. But if you know the way he started his journey, he had a very lucrative job proposal in IBM in the United States, but he refused that and he came back to work in his own company. And he worked for about 8 years in his own firm, and he worked in shop floors. So he could have, if you take you and me, right, we would have probably confined ourselves to the luxury of air-conditioned rooms, and we would only give some orders to all the employees who are below us. But Mr. Ratan Tata worked as a blue-collar employee in his firm so that he could understand the nuances of the different work which the employees do, right, the mechanics. He went and sort of felt the heat of the furnaces. A man who is truly humble in every sense of the word. Because let's remember, humility is a very scarce virtue in today's world. We human beings, even if we sort of get the slightest of achievement, that achievement goes up in our head and we feel that we are something great, right? But Mr. Ratan Tata is a legend, and look at the humility he had even back then and even now. The man is a hallmark. The man has the unfathomable quality of humility, right? So his qualities, demeanor is so humble, so simple. This is something which we all need to relish and draw inspiration from. Because unless you are not humble, unless you are not open to learning, if you think that if you have got a few degrees and you feel that you are superior to everyone else, this is a sure shot recipe to become the most successful failure. Because we all need to be students in life. No matter how many degrees you have, you always need to be open to the possibility of learning. Now, there is a beautiful aspect of Mr. Tata, that one story I would like to narrate here. Now, this story is probably very famous. So, when Mr. Ratan Tata hit his 1 million mark in his Instagram handle, a particular lady who was following him commented. So Mr. Ratan Tata sat on the floor and he posed for a photo where he said a thank you note, where he sort of conveyed a thank you note for reaching that level of following in Instagram. So one of his followers tweeted that look at the little kid, or something of that demeanor, right? He said, small kid sitting, small kid, hey kid, something of that quality, right? The words were of that quality. Now, most of the fans and the people who adore Mr. Ratan Tata took a lot of offense to that comment, and they said that how dare she is disrespecting Mr. Ratan Tata, and a lot of people started attacking her on social media. Now, because of those attacks, the lady deleted that comment. After a day, Mr. Ratan Tata posts on his handle that the lady who tweeted that had a very childlike innocence and a heartfelt intention behind tweeting or calling Mr. Tata a small kid, right? So, and he sort of told all his followers to not attack her or sort of abuse her. I don't take any kind of offense, and he also conveyed this message to that lady that, Madam, please don't stop commenting and tweeting. Such is the magnanimity of this person. If it were you and me, we would feel infuriated, we would have felt offended. But look at the demeanor through which he is operating. I mean, we all can learn such pearls of wisdom from this person, but it is something which is divine, right? Hence, I always say that this person exemplifies divine qualities, something which are not human. Because if it were you and me, we would get infuriated the slightest amount of disrespect. But look at the demeanor, look at the class of this man. So humility is one of the profound teachings which you and me can learn from Mr. Ratan Tata. Now, coming to the third quality which we can sort of imbibe or learn. Now, one thing you will notice about Mr. Ratan Tata, he is known to be a revered philanthropist. Now, in one of the media interactions, one of the interviewers, probably you also have this question in your mind that if Tata Group makes such a hell lot of money, why isn't Mr. Ratan Tata coming in probably the richest people? Why is Mr. Ambani above Mr. Ratan Tata? Even though Reliance does not earn as much, Reliance does not make as much profit as the Tata Group, right? But still, why is Mr. Ratan Tata below in the rich list? Now, the reason is 65% of the profits or of the gains which Tata Group sort of gets, it donates it to charitable purposes. Now, Mr. Ratan Tata is known for philanthropy, and when a media person asked him, why is this the case? Why is Mr. Ambani above you in the most rich list? He gives a very witty reply. He gives a reply which is filled with wit. He says, Mr. Ambani is a businessman while I am an industrialist. Now, look at the wit in the response of this gentleman. Now, many people would probably be knowing that Tata heavily invests in philanthropy. Like, for example, the fact that it sort of invests 1,000 crores every year in Diwali for philanthropic activities, and the fact that it invested 1,500 crores during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, why am I talking about all this? This quality of philanthropy or this quality of selfless service is something which ignites a person from within. Because if you are someone who does something without any selfish intention, that gives you a bliss which is out of this world. That gives you a level of satisfaction which cannot be expressed or conveyed, but which can only be experienced. All leaders operate through this mindset of selfless service, of philanthropy, of selfless leadership. Ratan Tata, Mr. Tata is an exemplary example, and that is the reason he's got such respect globally. His respect is not confined to India alone. He is a globally revered figure. Now, coming to the next point of what we can sort of learn from this icon, from this legend. Now, he is someone who has always been a possibilitarian. He says in one of his interviews, he said that the greatest pleasure which I have ever felt in my life, the greatest pleasure which I ever get in my life is when I do something when I make something possible which others told as impossible. Now, let me give you an example of how he did this. Now, before the launch of Tata Nano, most of the people in the automobile industry thought that a car cannot be produced in a budget of 1 lakh, right? But he made it possible. Now that's a different story, that Tata Nano did not make any breathtaking business. But look at the demeanor of the man. Even though it made him losses, but still the manufacturing of Tata Nano hasn't stopped. He always he had this intention of serving the lower middle class or the middle class. If he wanted to make profits, he could have probably realigned his business strategies, his business narratives. But the man had the intention of service. Hence, he had this idea of a possibilitarian. He always has this mindset of the greatest pleasure which he derives is when people call a certain thing impossible, he makes it possible. Another thing which we can learn from Mr. Tata is his unfathomable belief on his decisions. There's a famous quote which Mr. Ratan Tata gives. He says, "I don't believe in taking right decisions. I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and then make them right." Now look at the level of confidence this man has on his skills, on his experience. Now one example is when Tata took over Tetley tea, right, and converted it into Tata tea, many people in the business fraternity questioned that move. They sort of heavily criticized that move. But sooner or later, Tata tea became an internationally renowned brand. It probably is the second largest tea company in the world. Now, this is not about the fact that Mr. Ratan Tata's decisions have always been right, but this point is only to portray that how important having an unfathomable belief in our own decisions is important. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody is going to believe in your vision. Nobody is going to believe in any aspect of yourself. Self-belief is an extremely important quality for you and me to imbibe. And he always says that don't be scared of failure. Fail fast and fail often is also one of his quotes. He says fail fast and fail often. The more you fail, the more learnings you get. Now, because if you are going to confine yourself because you're scared of failures, now you're never going to learn. As I always say, failure is a great catalyst, failure is a great motivator. So never sort of confine yourself and never procrastinate taking the important decisions or important initiatives because of the fear of failure. Now we can talk a lot about Mr. Ratan Tata, but I have tried to sort of encapsulate few of the main learnings which we can sort of learn from this legend. Another very groundbreaking quality of Mr. Ratan Tata was he constantly innovates. The hunger for innovation has always been there in him. In 1995, when Tanishq was launched, it had a premise that it will be probably based on Western designs, and it made excruciating losses. It made losses close to 150 crores. So, after a certain level of market research, Ratan Tata's team thought that they will sort of revamp their strategy. They now focused on Indian designs and made them global, and also they launched this technical concept of carat meter, which sort of gives you the purity of the gold, sort of it measures the purity of the gold. Now this was the groundbreaking strategy. It completely brought a paradigm shift in the business. The business which was once making losses started making profits. Now, innovation is a quality which is so scarce these days, and leaders are someone who constantly innovate. Now, another very important influence in my life is Mr. Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs was giving a sort of vision to his technical team, he told with a lot of conviction that I want the icons of my iPhone or Apple products so good that people would want to lick it. Now, this is the kind of things, right? Who would have thought back then that something like this would also be possible? But they made it possible. They constantly innovate. Now, innovation is not only confined to titans of industry. Let's remember, every master was once an amateur. You and me can also innovate in seemingly insignificant ways, but seemingly insignificant changes, if done over a long period of time, will lead to tsunami of changes, right? As I always say, the 1% rule. Every 1% small change over a period of time, it becomes a huge, it's like a snowball effect. The snowball, the more it balls around, it becomes bigger in size. And it can also be correlated to that woodcutter example, wherein the woodcutter, it's not that 1 to 100 blows did not have an impact on the tree. It is only, it reached the threshold wherein it completely cut the tree. That doesn't say that 1 to 99 wasn't of significance. It sort of built a momentum. Hence, this is how we need to learn, this is how we need to approach life, from this kind of innovation mindset, right? Now, hope this video was of value to you and hope this video made sense, because Mr. Ratan Tata is a living example of how humility and the grandest of success can both be married together and can serve as inspiration to millions of people all around the world. One very funny incident of his own life, right? As you probably know, he's not married, and there are a number of reasons and narratives. We won't sort of go into the validity of those narratives, but I really feel sorry for the girl who sort of was not able to marry Mr. Ratan Tata, because she lost a gem of a person, right? A person who is considered the icon in today's world. It would be so fortunate if she could have got an opportunity to marry him. Hope this video gave you a sense of Mr. Ratan Tata's life. This person is someone who people can write volumes of books on. But one thing to note about him is he always talks about, he says one thing, something very important and motivating, right? He says that everyone is born with a different set of talents and different set of caliber. But the opportunity to work on your talents and caliber, everyone is equal in that regard. Everyone has the same opportunity to work on their caliber. The only difference is some people utilize that opportunity and some people let it go to waste, right? Hence, I think it's very important to draw inspiration from this legend and see how you can implement his qualities, install his nature in your demeanor, in your personality, to make you not only a profound and successful person, but also a holistic personality. Hope the messages and the viewpoints which I shared from this legend's life resonated with you, brought value to you. If you really like this video, don't forget to like, share, and also if you enjoy this genre of content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Meet you in the next video. Stay tuned and keep coming back to receiving this kind of motivating, inspiring, and things which will sort of fuel your consciousness with positivity. Thank you so much, and meet you in the next video. Bye.